Understood.
Hey, Adam.
Yes.
I just want to let you know at Pape Dawson, we got a new tech named Zach Coyle, and I invited him to the group. So be looking for him joining our Discord.
He already joined it. Yeah.
Oh.
He said he wasn't going to make this meeting, though.
Great. Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to tag him so I know who he is, though. So this month we didn't really have a topic schedule, and more because I ran out of ideas and people stopped giving me ideas. So I really wanted to kind of get people to brainstorm some ideas for this year. So start throwing stuff out and I'll just type it up. Not all at once.
So the big ones that I'm hearing that, you know, and I think we're as a group are seeing on the chat, I think continued Dynamo stuff, BIM 360 stuff, probably some of the new maybe pressure pipe stuff. We need to dig into that a little bit more with people. We haven't really done a lot on InfraWorks, so maybe we need to, you know, I know we've got a few in the group that are heavily using InfraWorks, and then we've had some, you know, others that want to but don't really know how to or don't know where to start. So maybe we can wrap some things around that. The BIM 360 stuff, you know, with as that keeps changing and progressing, depending on who you talk to. But you know, Tom's got good insight there, and I'm starting to gain a little bit more insight there, so that'll be good. I think maybe we revisit the actually, and I was thinking about this the other night, especially with dang it, I'm gonna forget his name.
Raph?
No, the other gentleman with the big beard.
Oh.
He's gonna hear this recording and be like, "You forgot my name," and I'm like, he's got a lot of insight on that, on standards, customization, that kind of stuff. And so that whole idea we had about, you know, doing some, yeah, we can hear you now, Tom. You're real faint.
Yeah.
Can you hear us, Tom?
Justin, that's his name.
Justin, thank you. Thank you. Sorry, Justin, for forgetting your name. But that idea that we had about maybe doing like some hour and a half long kind of roundtable, you know, 4 or 5 sessions around standards and workflows and putting that together.
And one of the things we did in the roundtables this year, where they did the Zoom breakout rooms, that was kind of cool too, where you could kind of pick a topic where everybody came in and said, "Hey, here's some things I want to talk about." I mean, we did it in the group network, and then people kind of picked from these topics, which was my top 3. And then when they tried to, you know, put people in rooms that they wanted to, you know, have those topics in. And I think I'll have to check with Adam, but I think we can record even the breakout rooms, so that if you can't attend one of the breakout rooms that you want, you know, you could come back later.
You can't record breakout rooms.
You can't record them? Okay.
No. And I don't know how they managed it. I'd be really curious to know. But as far as I know, putting people into breakout rooms, unless it's completely random, is a manual task.
It is a manual task. That is correct.
Yeah,
we had to do a list. Yeah.
With the full version of Zoom, so you have to assign someone, and once you go into the breakout rooms, someone who's in the breakout room can record it, and then you can save the recording and send it, but you can't record it from the main session. So that is correct. And then the lists, yeah, if it's, but I mean, how many do we generally have? I mean, I think it's manageable. You know, we may need to, if we do a breakout room like that, we may need to do like an hour and a half session instead of an hour, but we're not going to have so many users that we can't, but it is a manual having to, correct, Tom?
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
The assignments are manual.
Yeah.
And we did exactly what he said. Whoever was in charge of recording that room had to send the recording back to the presenter. And that was, and even the hour and a half I think they had for the roundtables for AU, like it still wasn't enough.
It wasn't
You know,
enough.
by
Yeah.
the time here's these people, and some of it may have been just intro, and here's our focus for today, and all that kind of stuff. But it was like the rooms are like, okay, and we get talking, and then it's like, what do you mean we're done? We weren't done talking yet.
I'm anticipating the second half of next year, we may end up being able to come back into in-person meetings. So that would help some of those kind of discussions where they go long. They usually work out better when they're in person because people are more willing to sit around and talk when they're in that group.
Correct. Yep.
So I'd like to add, I'm not sure if y'all are very aware, but I notice throughout the years, people that I work with, they don't know where to find sources of data. So navigating data sources and who is the authoritative data set. I'm not sure if y'all have done a topic on that.
Not anytime recently, no, but we could definitely have something where we show everybody where a lot of the data is that they could best find.
Yeah, I like that topic. Well, I've had the same questions.
Yeah, if that's something that y'all wanted me to lead, I'm knowledgeable.
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be a good one because that's you're right. A lot of people don't always know. And I've been dealing with a lot of guys that have gone out on their own in the last, within the last 6 to 8 months. And I get a lot of questions, hey, where can I get this? Where can I get that? And so having a good, a lot of us probably don't always think about it because it's just, we've done it for so long and it's kind of second nature. We go here, grab something, but having, being able to show people where that stuff is, how to go get it, that would be a good.
Ask Ishka.
I agree, and I yeah. And I think Jason made a point, and I would add to that, the people that are going out on their own, and it's like I've just always had access to this, and now I need to know. That's that's one source, but it's also the new folks coming in, like from the ACCs and things like that. Like they don't always know where to get that information either.
Yep, that's true. And there's and different ways, with ArcGIS Pro and being able to, you have a set of data that you can go to that gives you, that there's data that way, but then there's data you're going and getting on your own, maybe to use in CAD or to use in another GIS program or to use, whatever, or different agencies, some agencies have better data than others. You go into some of these agencies and they got nothing and you're like, really? And others have a plethora. And so, being able to tag that, maybe, I think for our purposes, because it is Texas, maybe we look at, we look at Texas data, state, and then your regionalized data, because you have your, the word's going to escape me. What are the regionalized, the COGS?
Capital.
Yeah. So you've got the regionalized COGS, and even them, some of them are better at data than others. And then from there, the cities, because even the different cities, it's funny how some of them, you look at the top cities for Texas, and we've got three that are in the top 10 of the largest cities in the nation. And Dallas has a lot of data. Houston has a lot of data. San Antonio has a lot of data if you know the right people. but it's
Right.
not public. So
Right.
they don't always have data, and even today they have more than they used to. But
Well, but a few years ago, San Antonio used to publish their stuff publicly, and all of a
well,
sudden it disappeared.
yeah, and then all of a sudden it disappeared. Yeah, and Saws used to have a lot of data available, but now they don't as much,
Mhm.
unless you know who to go to. And so that's all the kinds of things. If you look at it like a funnel and kind of, it would be good to have a resource for people that kind of spelled that out.
Right. I was wondering, have any of y'all tried the connector for ArcGIS tool? I, when I first started talking to Ramesh about that, I was really excited about it. It's like, oh, finally, a way to bring data in that's user friendly and all. But then in trying to use it, it's very limited as far as how you can browse the data. Like you were saying that, all the various municipalities store their information differently, and even though it may have an ArcGIS interface up front, it's not really ArcGIS Online, so you can't access it through the connector uh, tool. And so I got frustrated with that because, in essence, we could, we've got an ArcGIS Enterprise server at our office, and I could, load up all the information I've just got sitting on our network drive into it and access everything that way in a very friendly way. But from what I understand from our GIS manager, he's saying that it's just too much data, that it exceeds the limits of what we're allowed to store. So, I hate telling Ramesh that I can't really use this tool, but I'm getting to that point where I don't know. I don't see a good way to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I've used it. I've been underwhelmed.
Yeah, that's a good.
What I've effectively been doing is trying to figure out back-end ways to do kind of instanced JSON scraping off of REST endpoints that a GIS server would expose, but you have to kind of do it custom for each specific data set. So it's a pain.
And the ArcGIS for AutoCAD doesn't do better. The plugin.
Oh, that's the ArcGIS for AutoCAD. Are you still using that?
Oh yeah, I mean, like, we have a new version of 4.00. If you imagine, it's like stuff, and supposedly it's I guess it's better than the last one, but I still have trouble, connecting to the data on my end,
So maybe, Adam, there's a class, and Courtney's probably a good point for that, about kind of work, and maybe others, but kind of a workflow between an ArcGIS Pro, ArcGIS, and CAD itself. There's 100 different ways to do it, but there's going to be some preferred ways, I would think. I don't use a lot of AutoCAD map, but it doesn't mean it's wrong.
I am not the person for, because my next question to all of you was, what versions of CAD are you on? I am on 2019. And so I'm not allowed to play in a nice sandbox even to explore these connectivities. So I'm pretty siloed in my map import kind of direction, because we also have to ground coordinates for our survey scale factor. And that's something as well that I heard that connector cannot do.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's probably multiple. There's probably multiple sessions, Adam, around like data sources, where to get them, how to research, that kind of stuff. And then there's probably taking some more going in depth, kind of like Andy's talking about, and like Ish has done in the past, showing, how to get data between different things. And like ArcGIS Pro, the more I use it, the better I'm finding the ability to do certain things. But there's probably some multiple sessions there around that.
Yeah, I've got a GIS as a global topic, and just break it down to public data sources, probably Courtney, and then workflows between CAD and ArcGIS or something else.
Yeah, so where to find the data and then how to consume it.
Yes.
And yeah, for the consuming and processing data, like, I guess sign me up on that. I mean, I have access to more resources on that front end and, more integration.
And-
Tom, have y'all done a class on Project Explorer?
I've watched several of them online. So
I mean,
far,
Do you
I
think
mean, I haven't.
do you think anybody in this group could do one?
I can't today, but we could, yeah, if we could push it out a bit.
I mean, I think
Yeah,
there's a lot of
within-
interest there.
Within a
Mhm.
few, I would say within a few months. I just started a project that I'm playing around with, that I have enough data and am actually doing some stuff in that I can, hopefully get it to a point. But I think that's something. Adam has lots of free. I'm joking. Adam.
Just let
No,
Adam do it.
between Tom and me and Ish, at some point we should be able to pull that in. And there may be someone else in the group, Justin,
Yeah,
some of the other guys that are maybe, starting down that path.
We
but
can always reach out to other groups too and see if
Yep.
they've got someone that has experience to be able to speak on this or any other topic, really.
I mean,
Yeah, Adam, we can look at the group leader deal because I know they have postings there of,
Yeah.
kind of presentations ready to go. And I'm sure that Jeff Bartles, we could probably talk to him. I
Mm-hmm.
could talk to him and see if he might, do one as well if we had a specific topic that, because I know he's doing like a 3-part series or something on Project Explorer right now.
Yeah, that just wrapped up yesterday as a 2-part, and
Is it 2-part? Okay.
yeah, and he covered a lot of good stuff in that, and, went through it.
Mhm.
But obviously there's a lot of different applications that you can come up with for all the stuff that it can do. Like I'd be interested to see what kind of reporting you could do for things like detention ponds and building the table, directly in your drawing and have that updated as you remodel the pond. Things like that, I think would be really anything that we normally place a table in a drawing. It seems like this would be a good tool to be able to report that and update it dynamically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
except for
especially if
point.
you use like parcels for impervious cover tracks. Sorry about that, Adam. And if you
Oh.
create parcels for impervious cover, being able to create a table that can combine the parcel areas to spit that out and give you some reports would be pretty cool.
Yeah, it would probably make that workflow that Andy demoed a couple of years back a little easier.
Did I show that? I don't remember that. Maybe I did.
I think it was at the library when you did that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a pain in the ass. If
The drainage
actually,
area maps.
I can tell you right now, the way
Yeah.
I do it is I do it more from a Pythonic scripting interface with GDAL. So it's a lot quicker. CAD is super slow with that kind of crap. So just heads up. I guess what's new in civil that we need to really kind of focus on. You already talked about the pressure networks and kind of the new alignment hosting for that, but I think that's still relevant. There's not much in corridors that's really that different, I don't think, right? I mean, that's everybody always.
Feature lines as baselines is kind of new to some
That's
people.
true. And everybody always screams about grading. I hate to say that, but like you could always have a grading class and you're always going to get good attendance, but that's always a hard class to teach, right? Because we're going to do a pond or we're going to do a pad and that's it. So
What about combining those two ideas, Andy, where we utilize corridors and how to target certain things in order to get better grading out of what you want? So utilizing the Civil DD interface more for its purposes rather than just creating a bunch of features.
I guess the question to Adam and the rest of the group is what level are you trying to have classes on? Are we just trying to hit the highest of the high? We're trying to hit a common denominator. We're trying to hit something that's an intro class. Because I know y'all did like conditional targeting, but conditional targeting is kind of it's more of a higher level concept that,
Right.
Maybe is good for those that are like us, but maybe not inviting to those that aren't us.
I think we do need to target for some of the more advanced types of workflows, target the more intro level people. So grading would be more of an advanced thing, but trying to get the beginners into it using more simple techniques.
Yeah. Well, and even just things that are very common, regardless if it's a complex thing, if you run into it every project, that's still something you need to know, no matter how complex or difficult it might be.
Yeah.
So I
And-
think maybe the frequency might be
Yeah,
something.
and to add with one, I mean, like, I would say, like, for the intro stuff, I did it, just with the people in my group and stuff. I was like, it's like there's so many ways to skin the cat with grading. You can use this, you can use that one and stuff. But I went just simple, like, it's like, hey, look at this is the demo, like, how would you grade, like a drainage ditch with a feature line and grading groups. It's simple, here from here to here, and use the same concept of the new stuff. Use the feature line of a corridor, yeah. So, and you're gonna see, like, if you use, like, for example, feature lines, and you do like with grading groups, if you have like a PI and he has the bow ties crossing, you have an issue with one. Now that one is dissolved in a corridor, because now you can use the bow ties, the clear up. So there's lots of stuff that you make it simple, the whole stuff. I show them like how to create, like, for example, a rain garden. Yeah, you have a wall, you have 4 feature lines. You make it work. It's a simple one. You don't have to go too much in the detail, because, as I said before, I mean, yeah, it takes too long. You might take an 8-hour day class. Just to show
Right.
that.
No, I agree with that.
So,
I don't want to change the flavor of what this group is.
Yeah.
But I guess y'all need to kind of make sure you understand what you want and who you're trying to attract and who we're trying to reinforce and make better. It's always funny every time I post a video to YouTube, like the one that I think is the most banal and boring and kind of trivial is the one that usually gets the most traffic, because there's just a lot of people. It's like Walmart, right? Everybody wants to go there to get what they need and then get the hell out. When it's real highbrow and very specialized, you've made the Venn diagram so small that nobody cares, or people just haven't quite caught up to you yet. And I don't know what this group wants to be, what the flavor really needs to attract. Everybody that's on the call is such a high end user that, we're all trying to make ourselves better with those around us. I just don't know what you want to expand to. Sorry, I don't want to get you on that sidetrack, but I want to make sure that y'all, that I don't steer you in the wrong direction.
Bring in more the less knowledgeable people, try and bring them up, get them more involved even. But most of us are so advanced that we're the ones that are always active. We want more of them active. So got to think.
And to bring in, I mean, and it's nice to bring in others like us though, because that helps us all progress. I mean, you look at some of the new ones we've gotten this year, I mean, even, with more participation from you, Andy, and like the thing that the presentation you did, I mean, just the ideas that it spurred, I guess it was Adam that did the presentation, but with your, you kind of followed up with some of the stuff but I'm just saying that idea of wholly bringing, we want to help bring others up. I mean, that's the idea here. Right. Whether you're brand new to it, whether you've been in it a while, we want to bring everybody up, but we also want to bring in others that have ideas that even help us and bring us up. So sure. It's a big mix, but I think you're correct. We need to focus on items of interest, grading, pipe networks, pressure networks. Those are always going to be things of interest because there's different ways to do it. I mean, Adam may do it one way. I may, grading especially. Right. Grading is very personalized.
It is.
The more, the more and more you do, the different you look at it, And so, maybe some of that is even, here's Adam's perspective when he looks at a site. Here's Raphael's, perspective when he looks at a site. Here's Jason's perspective when he looks at a site. It's not as much technical. It's that theory behind it, because that was the problem I always found trying to train people, like for grading, was they don't get what you're trying to accomplish to begin with. So right. Telling them that they got to do, but anyhow.
No, I get that. And I think that's a valid point, Adam. And maybe we need to make a note of that having a class done by 2 different people on the same topic is not a bad thing. If I spent 30 minutes showing you how I lay out a storm drain system, analyze it and size it, and then, Raphael jumps in and shows you how he analyzes and sizes it, it's going to be different, but it might be enough to, have people start having epiphanies that, I might look at what I'm doing and going, what I'm doing is probably not as good as what Raphael's doing. And maybe if I acclimated and adjusted, I could be a little bit more efficient, make a little bit more money, you know, just to see a different way. Or maybe I just look at it and go, that's garbage. I've got a better way. There's nothing wrong with that. That's good for this group to have.
Yeah, I remember the first time I actually came to a live meeting where we were all actually sitting together. For me, it was just asking a lot of questions to kind of validate, am I even on the right track in the way I'm setting up stuff? What's
Right.
everybody else doing? So, I either get that confirmation, it's like, oh yeah, we are all doing that too. Or, all of a sudden somebody says, no, we do this other thing completely different. And,
it'd be neat to have a class on some topic where you give everybody 15 minutes and you have 3 presenters. You have 3 high-powered presenters. You've got Tom, you got Ish, you got Adam. I'm just cherry picking off the list. I'm not putting anybody in the spotlight. And then, everybody's got the same task, and then we just watch how that task was accomplished by those 3 folks. I don't know what that task would be. But it'd be interesting to see kind of the variance as to how that's approached, or maybe there's a lot of similarities in what we're doing. And I think a lot of other people, especially on a rudimentary task, would be interested in seeing that, just to kind of get a sense of difference as to, oh, he did that and that was quicker, or I didn't like the way that he did that, or Adam's using catchments and Andy's using parcels for drainage areas. Why are they different? And why does one use that and the other one use that? There's going to be, I'm picking on the things I know, but there's going to be stuff like that. And maybe that's not a bad idea, that, we do that and take a look at how it's different. I do something and then Tom does something, and then we have a conversation about, who's wrong, which is probably me. But that's not a bad thing, and that's actually something that once you record and put online, I think would have some value too. I mean, it's a discussion forum. That's part of what we're here for. And I don't know how much of a discussion forum drags interest from people that aren't here that watch it later. So I don't know what people are looking for. So
I think that's a good idea, having multiple speakers. I wrote it as multiple speakers doing the same task with their own methods to show or compare the differences.
Yeah, it's almost like a design slam, but without a design slam.
right. I
Yeah,
get
and-
as long as I
and you
get a
could even-
trophy at the end, that's all I care about.
I was gonna say, I mean, you could even do like, here's your task you're gonna do. Like, you could pre-record that thing so that people could watch it ahead of time.
Right.
And then the meeting is actually, let's discuss why you did what you did.
Right.
That's a
So-
good idea. Because that actually made those AU sessions really, you got to the meat of some things because you had seen it before, well, you were supposed to have, previewed. And then,
yeah, like a live Q&A
and
on
then
the
a
design
live
slam that we
Q&A.
do.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I really like
that
the
could
live
work.
Q&A. That was
That is a
actually
really
very,
good idea, Tom.
That could work well.
Yeah.
Well, what else are we missing? So what are the, I guess there's kind of hot topics, which are kind of trendy new stuff. And I know we talked about some of those. There's going to be staple comments or staple topics, which I really wish I knew more about parcels, or I don't know what the hell we're talking about. There's going to be staple things, and then there might be just kind of aspirational things like, I don't know what the hell that would be, stuff that none of us know well, and we wish we could find somebody that did. I would think those are kind of the 3 different topics that we need to hit. So I don't know which one y'all want to focus on.
Have we done anything, or do we have anybody in the group that has the Revit Civil 3D interaction? I mean, I know.
Oh, I
Adam,
can do that.
Tom, you do. Okay.
yeah.
I,
Doing like the shared coordinate system, and even like sharing content from Civil 3D to Revit and from Revit to Civil 3D.
I think
I've
that
been
would
working
be
on that a
good.
bunch.
Okay, I think that would be good because that pops up a lot, and those AU classes always are full, but I don't always feel like people grasp it. So I think
It's clunky. Yeah.
yeah.
Another thing to add to that would be saved views, stuff like that, because some
In
of the
Revit?
will take a Revit they're given a Revit file and they don't know how to pare it down to what they need.
Yeah, view templates.
Yeah, that would be,
Yeah, it looks like in the chat some of the same stuff we we're talking about: pressure pipes, pond grading, dynamo, and corridors.
and then because I only just recently dealt with this, is taking that Revit model into InfraWorks so that could tie in as well. Because once you have that shared coordinate, you can use it in everything else that's set up right.
Is anybody on the call working with a structural engineer that takes stuff out of Civil 3D and then does Revit with it? And then y'all bring it back or ship it back, that you have a workflow going back and forth? Is anybody doing that?
Adam,
No.
robot structural design.
I haven't had any.
I mean, it should work the same way as it does with architectural. It's just a matter of the view template that you're using to export.
I'd just
I
be
mean, the
curious if
process
we
is the
could,
same.
if we could find a really good technician or an engineer that's doing that with civil structures. Like, hey, I need this retaining wall designed here, and they go, okay, give me the graded surface, and then once I have it, I'll go do my Revit stuff, and then I'll ship it back to you. I've never found. I mean, I struggled for years trying to find a structural engineer that would do that for me, and I never found one. They would always kind of operate in their own little world, and then just give me back the drawings, and I'd kind of have to, conform the grading plan back to what they had designed.
I
It's-
know one. Let me see if he'd be willing to do something.
Okay.
Because, yeah,
I mean, I always kind of wondered if we were good and did what we were supposed to do, why can't I just send something to him and then he does his structural design, his rebar detailing, all that stuff, and just ships it back to me? And I've just never gotten a good workflow on that. I'm trying to think what else.
Can I
Go ahead.
ask if he is utilizing FME in their companies where there's a transition between utilizing consuming CAD data to go online with GIS, et cetera?
What is FME? I've seen that acronym before. Explain that to
Oh,
me.
Management engine, feature manipulation engine.
Feature management engine.
Manipulation
Manipulation.
engine.
Sorry, say it again. I got both of you at the same time.
It's from Safe Software. It's pretty much, is the golden standard for translation of data in between multiple GSCAD GSCAD formats, pretty much any 500 formats.
Is that proprietary or is that open?
Yeah.
It is proprietary.
Yeah, it's feature manipulation engine. It's Safe Software, pretty much, which has been in the business and they're used by. Some people they do their stuff in ArcGIS, like with the whole, I forgot, interoperability tools or some other stuff, but the one does it,
we know someone who can talk on that, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's me.
Well, no, that's Melanie's strong in that, isn't she?
I don't know, because so pretty much, trying to vet on, since like trying to what Adam says also about like InfraWorks and stuff. I'm looking at this year stuff. I'm looking at merging like laser scanners with FODAR, in one place, because the idea is like InfraWorks, I always hate the environment, the virtual environment, which shows like the facade and stuff. So I'm trying to see if I can push meshes, like LiDAR meshes to InfraWorks. To kind of give you a nice extent, so that's what I'm planning to do, and also like visual surveyor from LiDAR data. So.
What aspirational things are we looking for? What do you want to see somebody do that none of us can do, that we can go find somebody to show us to do? I mean, what are the hot items that, man, if I could only get somebody to show me how to do this, I would be good.
Well, your idea for that structural workflow is a good one. Taking our civil stuff, drawing to Revit, let them do their analysis and bring it back if they have to change it.
Okay.
I got that on the list. This is actually a pretty lengthy list so far.
Yeah. Well, you got a whole year, so.
You asked for it.
I've been asking for it for a while. Yeah.
I know. I think for me, and from the people that I talk with, InfraWorks, I mean, I think some on this call have, are involved with it, but I think, is that a tool that's plausible to use? How can I use it? Can it help me with my clients? And I know there's been some recent discussion that we do have some within the group that are using it that way, and they really like it, and they have some really good workflows. So for me, I've always been, we just never had the time to go down that road with it. But from what I'm hearing, it's like it can help you, especially in that planning and back and forth with the clients. But I don't know.
I've actually been on the other side, Jason, not to be the rain cloud, but I really, really wanted to like InfoWorks. I spent a lot of time really, really wanting to like it. And the further I used it, the less I liked it. And since Ramesh isn't on the call, I can say that. He's probably going to listen later, so I'm going to get the black ball.
Has anybody? Yeah,
He'll just ask why. He'll just want to know why. What is it that we could do to make it more useful to you?
It's the visual fidelity engine. I think it just looks. It's not anything I ever wanted to show to a client. I would use it as an intermediary to go somewhere else.
It looks like Minecraft, right?
Yeah, it's not. I mean, that's the biggest problem for me. For me, it's always been a beautiful place to aggregate data. If you've got a bunch of GIS data and CAD data and surface data, it's a beautiful program for that. But once you get that done, I always want to send it somewhere else. I want to send it to Twinmotions, to Lumion, to, pick your poison, to Unreal, to Unity, to, I don't care. Just get it out of InfoWorks and get it in something else. That's always been kind of my MO.
Does anybody use Navisworks? I mean, because it has some pretty cool clash detection and I don't know, some walkthroughs and stuff. We've used it on some, we haven't. We've been involved with companies that used it.
You're using it for
that
civil clash detections?
Yeah, you could use it for civil too. You could take your pipe network stuff and export it and then bring in the Revit model or the structural model. And we could find conflicts between, in fact, we had this where there was an existing water line we were going to abandon because they were putting a building over it. And so they were just going to abandon in place. Well, they couldn't because there were some structural columns that actually conflicted with it. So there was a section they had to take out.
Yeah.
So
Well, and Tom too, on that TFC project, they were digging a big pit, and so to shore up the walls, they had to use those big retaining nails, those earth nails or whatever.
Soil anchors.
Yeah, soil anchors, like 50 feet back. And so they wanted us to export the complete model of all the existing and proposed utilities around that. And then, but this was, again, the architect doing that. We just exported the files, but they used Navisworks though to see if, any of those soil nails were conflicting.
Do we know any good subsurface utility engineering groups that are doing hardcore civil 3D kind of creation and ingestion of their data? Do we know if that exists?
I haven't run across one.
I haven't either.
I've only seen AutoCAD. Here's your line, here's your pipe size, here's the data, but not to actually have it built out.
Let me ask. I have a couple groups I can ask and see if they're doing anything. I don't think they are, because when I've worked with them in the past, I got good information from them, but they weren't modeling anything.
I mean, everybody's gotten real enamored with this digital twin buzzword, which I don't think is any different than what we've been doing before. But it's just it's the word du jour. And I've always kind of wondered if that's the case, then how do you take, Ish's City of Austin data and turn it into something that's 3-dimensional? How do you take, yes, that's what Sioux guys do. They take your GIS files and they go figure out where that line is vertically. How do you do that? And is there a good workflow for that? I think that would benefit a lot if we could find somebody that really has a good sense of that. Because we're all kind of doing that anyway on all our projects. Like, there's a wastewater line here. Okay, now I got to go pull plans and go figure out where the elevations are. Am I going to model that existing line in 3D or not? If I do, what's it get me? If I don't, what's the problem?
Now I'll have to give the disclaimer on that one. Since it comes about take City of Austin data, GS data. Now, when it comes about storm drain data and stuff, that's more or less accurate. GPS, GS, like specific, but when it comes about Austin water, that means wastewater, wastewater and water or reclaimed water. Now that data, in the last conversation I had with Austin water guys, is like, hey, why your data is not so accurate? Why it's 50 feet up, And this is because it was placed that way for the graphical display,
It's like the electric lines. It might be there. I don't know.
It might be there.
But it was not accurate, like GIS, like GPS, accuracy, but because it's like why is the valve and the hydrant, so close together, or what stuff? Because it's because it has to be on the plans. That's why it's like it's close enough, but it has. So I'm like, So like, would it be nice, like, stuff to, to take all this stuff and adjust it to actually the location where it is? It's like, yes, it might take a long time. So it's like, if I say like, yes, the data is there for your reference purposes, not there for your ingesting and, I mean, I don't use it. I just use it, but like, okay, I get my data on the ground and then I type data together, but I want to use it to process the data. So
Yeah, there are a lot of liability issues too, right? What, if you turn something over, then people say it's like, oh, well, this is accurate because you gave us this model.
Well, there is, but I would think every company's doing a digital disclaimer release when they're releasing digital data. If you're not, you're a moron. So.
Well, but I think what you're getting at though, Andy, is if it's a Sioux company that's doing it, they're certifying that information at
Right.
different levels. And
Right.
so are they taking that information? And I mean, I've worked with some really good Sioux companies and I get a ton of data and it's real data that they've verified and they're certifying. They're just not modeling it. They're
Right.
just giving you,
Which is what all of us on this call are ultimately going to have to do. Once you get
Yeah,
that Sioux data, you're going
exactly.
to have to model it. So what do we have to do? Or is there a company or is there a push to try to take that
and
to
model it
to
up
let-
front.
to let them do that or
Yeah.
to figure out a workflow to do that? That would be my question. If there's somebody out there that can help us answer that question.
I mean, there's cities talking about creating digital twins of their infrastructure so that it's available to organizations.
And I think in the next couple of years, you're going to see that big time. I mean,
Yeah.
people were crying about City of Austin being so bad. Their storm drain it wasn't even 2.5D. It was just 2D. And then they went
Yeah.
back and started adding elevations. So
Yeah.
Round Rock kicked their butt for years, having better data.
Yep.
And then finally they started catching up. But
Well, and what's funny is
I said that to poke you, Ish. I knew that would bother you.
but I think I have some companies I'll reach out and see because that would be an interesting. I mean, because you think about the amount of time we spend doing that.
It'd be a huge
And-
value add.
Yeah.
For all of us.
And right now we probably all do it the same way. We look at the data and what's going to affect us. What do we need to model? What can we leave alone? Well,
Sure.
if you were just given a model, you could bring it in and move on and it would make your design better. I mean, when we started applying Sioux to all of our projects, it made things a lot better, a lot quicker. And
Yeah.
we started seeing less issues on projects. We started, we knew more up front. Well, instead of us spending that time, is that going to start coming or could it become from the others? I don't know. We'll see. I have some companies. I'll talk to them.
Okay.
Yeah, our office actually has a very large Sioux department, and that's a big part of what we do. And a lot of times they do actually provide the model, but it comes down to budget. It's like,
Sure.
we'll do it if you pay for it.
Are they providing that model at a cost, kind of like they do the levels of certification? So if you want your site to a certain level of certification, then you're going to pay this amount for it.
Just the same as you bid a project. You look at the project, how long is it going to take you to put together whatever final deliverable is being asked. If you're not asked for a complicated deliverable, then I can do that in a couple of weeks or whatever. If you're asking for very accurate, full level 3D models of everything, it's like, well, okay, that's going to take us a couple of months. So
Sorry
it's project
I'm-
by project.
I'm having a brain fart as I kind of think about things. Adam, there's a lot of interest right now in tools that do kind of AI based layout. I know Autodesk bought one. I've seen another company called TestFit that puts a lot of crap out that says like, hey, you want to lay out a fire lane with parking stalls and all that kind of crap. This will do it on the fly automatically based upon some kind of AI algorithm engine. There's parking layouts, that kind of stuff. I would think that we could probably find somebody from Autodesk that could do a dog and pony of whatever they purchased once they kind of get to a point where they're happy with it. That might be late next year. Every time I look at those tools, they seem sexy as hell, but it's kind of one of those things until it matures. It's like, what was that product that I just think is dog food?
Side ops.
What's that?
Yeah.
Side ops.
Side ops. That's dog food. Yeah.
I loved what side ops could do. Once you learned how to use it properly, I loved what it could do. It has the worst output and
Yeah.
the worst visual of anything I've
But-
ever seen.
But I think with ML, with machine learning and the advances in kind of AI and tensor logic and math and stuff, you're seeing a lot of progression in that. And I'm been kind of impressed with at least the demos I've seen from like Test Fit and those guys to do parking layouts. That would be kind of the most germane to us. And we don't need to necessarily lay out housing units and figure out where elevators go and that kind of stuff. And I know they're working on that. But for us, it'd be more of a site-centric kind of approach. How do you lay out houses and multifamily units and maybe single family lots with certain logic? And is that tool advanced? Is it to a point where it's something we should actually be interested in and start paying attention to? And I don't know where Autodesk is with all of that, but I know that their big expenditure this year was to try to buy a company that does that. So.
Yeah, I've been watching that stuff for a while. I've been trying to recreate something in Dynamo to do some.
Oh man, that's a mountain to climb. Good luck.
I got it as far as doing a row of parking. But I would like to see stuff that automates some of our site layout. And if I can find someone to come show us some stuff, tell us how to get it to work, that'd be great.
Is anybody in this group wanting to, or find somebody, or I couldn't present it, but interested in seeing some more of stuff on that Ground Force, whatever that's called now? I know they rebranded it. What's that called
Grading
now, Tom?
optimization.
Yeah, grading optimization.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Every time I played with it, and I played it in early beta, like Zeben gave it to me before he gave it to anybody else. Like I really fought it, got confused, couldn't figure out how to use it right. It really confused the crap out of me, and then and I kind of abandoned it. But I would assume that if it's been adopted and rebranded, maybe it's matured. It's been a couple of years since I looked at it.
I think there was a lot of maturing recently, so it's worth another look. I think you'll see a huge difference.
So if we could find somebody from Autodesk that could maybe demo that, maybe that's a Charles Ogden or something that could do that.
Yeah, it's Charlie's baby. Also, probably like John Sayer. I know John Sayer's done some presentations on it. I bet he would be willing to do that.
And he's a good presenter, so that would be a great.
Yes, he
person
is
to
a
do it.
real good presenter. Yep. So yeah, I can reach out to John. So if you want to put that on the list, Adam.
Yeah, I'll put him down as either Charlie or John. I'll let you.
Yep. And
Charlie,
I can, yeah.
Charlie
I
probably
can reach
wouldn't
out to
do
him.
it. It'd probably be somebody else, but Charlie likes
Yeah.
to talk about it, but I'd rather have somebody else that's kind of more of their front showman do it. And Charlie.
Yeah, John's a presenter. Yeah, that's one of his strong suits. So.
So
Um,
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that lots of groups are focused on networking, right? And being connected. And that's something that I know that we're fairly small when it comes to being together in a meeting. But if we were more connected across Austin, and then maybe even expanding that, especially since we're living in such a virtual connected world, expanding to other groups that are CAD user groups. So I don't think I've seen like major influxes of people that are not in the Austin area, right? So I don't know if there's ways to combine meetings and presentations with other groups.
You know, I'm looking at you, right, Jason?
Yeah, Adam's looking at me and pointing his finger. So I've been trying to build, we've got people spread out across Texas. We've got quite a few. The core group is pretty small that talks and that offers up stuff. We've started to build, we've had some really good influx in the last, I don't know, what would you say, 3 months, 4
Yeah.
months of some outside sources. And again, though, they're the only ones talking. It's still a very small core. I've been trying to build the San Antonio area and get more people. I mean, I know a ton of guys. It's just San Antonio. I've been here now for I've been here for 20 years now. And I've been through about 5 or 6 different groups here in San Antonio because they just don't hold up. No one wants to participate. There's a very tight, I don't want to share what I know, or I don't want to share that I don't know. And breaking that down has been very difficult. And I'm not going to lie, even within my previous, when I was at my previous firm, it was hard for me to get the guys to open up and participate. And so yeah, Adam and I had a discussion about it the other night, and I'm gonna put some time into that and try to bring in some more. I haven't found other groups that are as good and as active as ours. I mean, I've
Texas
joined
doesn't
some.
really have that many.
Well, Texas doesn't, but I'm even talking like I've joined ones in Revit. Ones seem to be pretty active, and
Yes.
They
I've
are.
joined a few on the West Coast, and they seem to be active. But finding a civil group or just a plain group overall, it's they're not very active. I mean, I've joined a couple and gone in there, and there's not been anything for a year, and it's like, is there no one here? Stacy's group, has she got that group rolling?
She has a group, and they've had a group for a long time. They're not super active on Discord. I mean, they have some folks like us that are like, hey, ask some questions. We'll be happy to answer them. But trying to get people to ask questions, like you said, they don't want to show they don't know something, and just
I
people
think
think it's a
that's
stupid questions, and they
yeah,
really
and I
aren't.
think they're not, and I think that's a hard. I never had. I had a lot of green users, and I would walk by someone, look over their shoulder, and I would see a guy do something, and I'd be like, okay, I've been doing this for 30 some years, and I look over his shoulder, and I'm like, what did you just do? Hold on, back up, show me what you did. And it's like, I I want people to. I think we all do. I think, there's never a bad question. Just because I approach something one way, you approach it another, it doesn't make it wrong. Now we can argue that my way's faster, or, and maybe you come to that realization, but it's there's 1,000 different ways to draw a line in AutoCAD.
Yeah.
Who's to say mine's better than yours?
Design, but there's always something to learn.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
speaking of which, can I hijack the meeting for like 10 minutes and show you what I'm working on and get some solicited input?
Let me
You don't want it recorded?
Not really.
let me just say one more thing. I intend to visit Japan this summer, if all goes well, pandemic wise. Rescheduling from last year, and one of my goals before then is to get connected with other like-minded professionals across the world and build some sort of communication. So a lot of them are English speakers. I am a very, very beginner Japanese speaker. So
Cool.
I think I went to one of the Autodesk presentations from somebody who was from Japan. And so that I'm going to try and go through that route to get connected to user groups across the world. So I'm just sharing with y'all now that maybe there might be opportunity to hear a perspective from across the globe.
That's
Right.
Excellent.
that's a
That
really
is-
good idea.
Tom and I are also, well, I'm a little more than Tom.
Yeah.
but
Yep.
active
You are.
Autodesk group network leaders. So we're trying to build kind of a interconnection between all the groups.
Yeah, congrats on your award, guys. That's great.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. They're probably going to end up tapping me for information, but my idea is to try and get us all connected to where we can share information across groups or teach across groups or stuff like that. So I'm always looking for those opportunities like you were talking about, Courtney. Our original idea when we started really building this group a couple of years ago was to take over Texas. We're slowly doing it, but now I'm getting a little bigger in my scope.
Well, and the good thing that in my mind, it goes back to what I just said a minute ago. They're very hard to keep rolling because there's a core group, and you're tired. We understand that you're busy. You've got things to do. So it's keeping that momentum going. And I mean, the only other group is the Dallas group even active anymore?
I don't even
I don't
know.
think
I don't
so.
think so. They were
So
run by one of the resellers, and
Yeah, and
Their lawyers
well, he
started
lost
doing a
his
good job.
civil guys, so I
Yeah.
think it kind of fell off, but yeah. Okay, cool.
Okay,
Yeah, I
We're-
posted the link to the group network
yeah.
in the chat.
One last idea I had is maybe we can do a Christmas party next year, since it's Christmas
Hopefully
time.
we'll be in.
Right.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to get together and celebrate. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
that'd be
put it on
cool.
the list for next December and see how things turn out.
Well, I think are we going to start publishing the weekly at the different date, Tom?
Oh yeah. We want to do
Yes.
Wednesdays for next year.
Yeah,
Forget to
I
mention that.
really think it would be good to you know everybody, if we can start to get a few more people in there, because it doesn't have to be work, it doesn't have to be that, it's just, especially now where we're all kind of to different levels, we're kind of combined,
Cabined up.
closed up and cabined up. It's good to see other faces and talk to other people and get other perspectives. So that goes really well, and try to get more people involved in that. Even if it's just for 15 minutes, hey, hi, how you doing? Just
Mhm.
dropping in and checking it out. So
Yeah, while they're sitting in their car waiting on their significant other.
Not mentioning any names.
you know.
But hey, that was good. I mean,
Yeah.
spend the time you can if you're waiting
Yep.
anyway.
Right.
But yeah, we'd love to have some more, more folks join us. So we're gonna try Wednesdays and see if that works.
Yep.
And it's Wednesdays every week, so it's not like you have to come every week. But
Yeah.
if you have any availability to join us, and if there's another day, I mean, we could always launch another one during the
Right.
month if we're like, hey, I want to talk about XYZ, like Andy, we can just set one up and post up an invite.
sweet.
Yep.
So
I'm
Cool.
gonna
Yeah,
stop.
thanks,
recording
Jason.
this, and we'll post it up on YouTube. I'll post the list of stuff as I work it out, maybe even in a schedule on Discord sometime over the weekend, maybe next week. Depends on my schedule.
So Adam, you had mentioned a holiday party. We didn't do the GeoBash this year for obvious reasons, but we usually do a GeoBash where we invite anybody, in GIS geography world to come and join us at a holiday party. And then we try and do some type of donations for some group in need or humanitarian mapping group or something like that. So I am not opposed to bringing up to Janny, who's organized a lot of the GeoBashes most recently, to see if she would want to do like a combined CAD and GeoBash.
Cool.
Yeah,
I
that'd be a
think
good idea.
we can have some,
Exactly.
platforms getting discussions going, especially if we get to be in person again. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and if there's like a donation thing for charity, people are usually more often willing to come just so they can go give out some money and make themselves feel better about that.
So be thinking about
Yep.
some CAD related, or if like one of our colleagues that's in dire need as well. We've done that in the past where we gave to somebody who worked at the city of Austin, who had some incredible health issues that insurance didn't cover enough. So just be thinking about who might be in need over the next year.
Awesome.